Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer. This is Ralph Phillips. Today we're going to be doing an analysis of all the interceptions that Jameis Winston threw in 2019. These clips are in chronological order. Now I've broken these down into 5 categories, which are 1. Receivers, 2. Hits, 3. Bad decisions, 4. Bad passes, and 5. Communication errors. The receivers category is for when a good pass to a receiver is not handled correctly by the receiver, leading to an interception. Hit is when Jameis Winston was hit during his throwing motion, which caused an errant pass, leading to an interception. Bad decision is when an interception was thrown based on an unwise pass attempt by Jameis Winston. Bad pass is when Winston threw a ball which made it impossible or extremely difficult for a receiver to catch, which in turn led to an interception. And then miscommunication, which is where the receiver and Winston were not on the same page of an option route or for whatever reason causing an interception. Now I have set up a box with a counter in the bottom right corner breaking down each category of interception and a running tally of each. The final tally for each category, of course, is not absolute. I mean, there's arguments that could be made for receivers not boxing out defenders and plays where the defenders did an outstanding play. I might have categorized that as a miscommunication or whatever. But what I'm shooting for here is a gist of where Winston's interceptions are coming from. Basically, where, if anywhere, Winston needs to improve to reduce his interception rate. At the end of the video, after all the interceptions have been analyzed, I'm going to give a summary conclusion as to some of the things that I found interesting. A few of them I think you'll find fascinating. There will also be an information bar up top giving you pertinent information about the play on the screen. We got a lot to get to, so let's get to it. You're going to see O.J. Howard run straight down the hash marks. Does somewhat of a comeback route. Jameis Winston tries to hit him right there. The ball ends up going straight into his hands and popping out for the interception. This is the fault of the receiver. Peyton Barber is lined up wide right. He runs this route and ends up in that position. However, Jameis Winston throws the ball over here. Bruce Arians said after the press conference after the game that Peyton Barber ran the wrong route, was not in position, so we have to put this one on the receiver. Jameis Winston ends up trying to throw a screen pass to Dare Ogunbowale, who gets caught up in a mix. He runs out in about this area, but there's a bunch of players down there. He is not open. Jameis Winston, however, still tries to throw it to him. This is a bad decision by Jameis Winston. You can see here Mike Evans runs across the middle of the field and he gets wide open. However, Jameis Winston throws a bad pass, missing an open Mike Evans. Looking at it from the end zone angle, you can get a very clear view how open Mike Evans is and that Jameis Winston does not get hit. Bobo Wilson runs this route. He gets down in between the zone coverage and is open. However, as Jameis Winston is throwing the ball, he does get hit, causing somewhat of an errant pass, allowing the interception for a pick 6. Looking at it from the end zone angle, you'll clearly be able to see Winston getting hit right there as he throws. Right there you can see his arm getting hit. Jameis Winston throws this pass to Mike Evans. 24 goes here. Kuechly goes here. It appears that Mike Evans does get bracketed by both Luke Kuechly and number 24. 24 has the outside coverage. Kuechly has the inside coverage. Jameis Winston never should have thrown this pass. 24 is able to undercut Mike Evans, intercept the pass. This is a bad decision by Winston. As you can see here, Mike Evans is bracketed. 24 has the ability to jump underneath. 59 also had a shot on the ball. But 24 is able to undercut Mike Evans. This is a bad pass and a bad decision by Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston attempts to throw the ball to O.J. Howard, who does a little chip block and then runs out into this pattern. O.J. Howard is open for the pass. However, Jameis Winston gets hit as he's throwing the ball, causing an errant pass, which leads to the interception. Looking at it from the end zone angle, you can see the defender come in and hit Jameis Winston right there, getting a piece of his arm, causing the ball to come out errant and wobbly, allowing the interception. On this play, Jameis Winston tries to throw a short middle pass to Mike Evans. He runs this route. Unfortunately, Luke Kuechly drops back into coverage and is able to get the interception. Now, this looks like a bad pass by Jameis Winston. However, it is not. Jameis Winston gets hit during his pass, causing an errant pass, allowing for the interception. We'll look at it from the end zone angle. You'll be able to see 25 loops around and is supposed to be blocked by 27. Ronald Jones, however, fails to make the block, and 25 was able to get past Jones. Oh, here he comes, block him. Nope. That is Jameis Winston getting hit as he's throwing. You can see there, that is a totally errant pass that goes straight to 59 Luke Kuechly. You will see Chris Godwin run this route. The ball is thrown approximately at that point in the route. Now 47 is covering his man here who runs that route, but 47 gives up his man when the ball is thrown in order to undercut Chris Godwin's route. He does just like this, making the interception. Now this is a very good play by 47. As you'll be able to see, both receivers are in the line of sight of the football. 47 makes a actually quite courageous move by giving up his man. It very easily could have gone to his guy. As you can see there, they're both lined up, but 47 sees that the ball is going to go to Chris Godwin, so he jumps that route. We're going to call this one a bad decision on Jameis Winston's part. However, I do believe it was more of a good play by 47. Now on this play, you'll see Mike Evans run towards the end zone, and Jameis Winston throws the ball up for a jump ball. However, Mike Evans does not run the correct route, or Jameis Winston thinks he's going to run a different route. As you can see, Jameis Winston is throwing the ball now before Winston is ready. So this was a planned and timed route. Jameis Winston throws the ball up. Mike Evans is now turning around to look for the ball as he's running more towards the inside of the end zone. The ball, however, is going towards the outside. Mike Evans tries to adjust and is not able to. Therefore, it's a miscommunication problem. Chris Godwin runs a route which comes up and goes towards the inside. However, Jameis Winston is expecting Chris Godwin to continue moving straight down the field. You can see this because as Chris Godwin is running, Jameis Winston throws the ball before Chris Godwin cuts to the inside, and the ball lands. You can see here Chris Godwin moving to the inside. Jameis Winston is throwing the ball as though Chris Godwin is going to the outside. He throws it at about that area. This is a communication issue between the receiver and the quarterback. Brashard Perriman runs straight down the field. This is who Jameis Winston is intending to throw the ball to, but it appears there's another communication issue whereas Winston is expecting Perriman to curl to the inside. Perriman, however, continues running straight. This can be seen by freezing it here. Jameis Winston is throwing the ball as Perriman is continuing to run. Perriman has not looked yet, nor is Perriman open at this point. Jameis Winston throws the ball as though he thinks Perriman is going to come to the inside, but Perriman keeps going straight. Chris Godwin runs the route. He comes out. His guy is behind him and undercuts the route, making the interception approximately about right here. This is a bad decision by Jameis Winston. Should have known better than to throw this with this guy having good leverage. As you can see right there, the guy has leverage underneath, gets the interception. Bad decision. Chris Godwin runs a route. He comes up straight down the hash marks, cuts inside and sits. This guy comes right behind him and is standing right behind him. This is a bad decision by Jameis Winston. The Cardinals defender is able to come up, knock the ball away from Chris Godwin up into the air, and it is intercepted. This is that same play, froze it so that you can see what kind of coverage the Cardinals are in. This guy is way too close to Chris Godwin to be throwing that ball. Jameis Winston has a habit of trying to thread the needle. I say this is a bad decision by Jameis Winston. This is third down. You see the third down marker is right here. That's good for where Chris Godwin is at. That would have been a first down. However, you can see O.J. Howard is wide open with nobody covering him. He could have easily got that ball and made that first down. Simply a bad decision by Jameis Winston. O.J. Howard stays in to block. He helps double team for a little bit. Then he runs out and gets open. The ball is thrown to him, but he bobbles the pass. It ends up going behind him, and it is picked off by the New Orleans Saints. This is the fault of the receiver, O.J. Howard. Looking at it from the end zone angle, you'll be able to see the bobble a little bit better. This was a very well thrown ball by Jameis Winston. Right in his hands. See, O.J. Howard has the ball there, but then it goes behind his back. Pops up, interception. Chris Godwin runs this route. He comes and he cuts inside. The pass is thrown right here. Chris Godwin does slip and fall. The ball ends up popping up in the air for the interception. However, this is neither the fault of the receiver or the quarterback because Jameis Winston does get hit by number 21 as he's in the process of throwing the ball. We'll look at it from the end zone angle. You'll be able to see it a little bit better. You'll see 21 comes in. He jumps up, gets completely in the face of Jameis Winston. He's almost prone, stretched across Jameis Winston's body. Right there. You can see he got all kinds of stuff up in Winston's face, causing the errant pass. Mike Evans runs a route like this. He comes in, and Jameis Winston throws the ball, expecting Mike Evans to keep running straight. This is a communication problem between the two. You will see 43 backpedals, ends up sitting back here, and the ball is thrown right to 43 because Winston is expecting Evans to keep going straight. If you look right there, Winston has released the ball. Mike Evans has cut to the inside, is starting to cut to the inside. He ends up going this way. The ball is thrown here. Jameis Winston obviously expected him to go this way. Miscommunication. Jameis Winston throws what appears to be a fade route to Mike Evans. Now, Mike Evans is very good at jump balls. However, Jameis Winston does not throw this ball high enough. He actually throws it a little too short, allowing the New Orleans Saints to pick it off, not allowing Mike Evans a chance to catch the ball. However, there's a caveat to this. The ball was snapped before Winston was ready. Keep an eye on Jameis Winston and the ball. And you will see that Jameis Winston gets the ball right in his gut before he is ready for it, and it causes him to see he's looking around. So he kind of had to hurry that throw. Still a bad pass by Jameis Winston. Mike Evans runs down to the 50 and then cuts inside. Jameis Winston throws the ball approximately right there. It's a good pass by Jameis Winston. Poor decision, because you will see the defender comes out with Mike Evans and stays underneath him the whole time. This was a very poor decision by Winston to throw this ball. You can see Winston just released it. There's the ball in the air. Right there, there's Jameis Winston throwing it. But as you can tell, this guy is in position to get the ball. Not a very good decision by Jameis Winston. Ronald Jones goes out for a check down. You will see him run out this way. He is open. However, Jameis Winston gets pressured and jumps up in the air to throw the ball. And it becomes just an errant pass. This is just a very poor decision by Jameis Winston. He should have thrown the ball away or just taken the sack or run. He should not have attempted to throw this ball. We'll look at it from the end zone angle, and you'll be able to see how bad of a decision it really was. Jameis Winston's getting some pressure. He jumps. Makes a bad pass. Mike Evans runs out here and is expected to catch the pass. However, Jameis Winston does not see the linebacker, who drops back into coverage and easily picks off the pass. Another issue with this is, remember, see there, Winston throws this ball, apparently did not see the linebacker in coverage right here. He also did not see the running back, who was wide open. Let's rewind it so you can see exactly as Winston is throwing the ball right there. This running back was easily available for a check down. However, Jameis Winston decided to throw it to Mike Evans, which is normally a good decision unless there's a guy standing between them. This is a bad decision by Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston attempts to throw the ball to Brashard Perriman, who is wide open. He comes across. He is completely wide open. However, what Jameis Winston does not see is the linebacker who comes in, fakes like he's going to rush, then completely steps back right into the path of the ball and gets an interception. Now, this play, you could definitely say it was a bad decision by Jameis Winston for not seeing the linebacker going back into coverage. However, what is really annoying about this play is that he does not see this tight end, who is completely wide open for what would most likely have been a touchdown, or at least quite a bit of yardage. As you can see, tight end is wide open. Now, Perriman is wide open as well, but this linebacker is getting ready to go back into coverage. He gets right in the path of the ball, and it turns into a pick six, giving the Colts the lead, 23-14. Brashard Perriman runs out and in. Jameis Winston throws the ball. However, he throws it behind Brashard Perriman. Brashard Perriman does get one hand on it, tipping it up in the air for the interception. I would have to say this is a bad pass by Jameis Winston. Now, it is possible that Perriman was supposed to keep going straight on this route. However, I think it was a bad pass instead of a miscommunication issue. We can look at it from the end zone angle in a moment and see. There's Jameis Winston. He's throwing the ball now. You can already see Brashard Perriman is facing to the inside. The ball has not released from Winston's hand yet, so he still has direction with it. He could very easily have thrown it in this direction where Perriman is heading. Instead, he throws it as though Perriman was going to go straight, causing Perriman to have to twist around and try and catch it one-handed backwards. This does not work out well. Also in this play, just a note, keep an eye on Jameis Winston right here. This is the very definition of a blindside block. This was not called. This defender is facing his own end zone, and he lays Jameis Winston out. That is a blindside block. Now looking at it from the end zone angle, you can see he releases the ball. Perriman is there looking at the ball, fully expecting it to come across the middle. Instead, it's thrown behind him. He has to reach out and get it. That was a bad pass on Jameis Winston's part. There is the blindside block. On this play, Ronald Jones comes out, and that is the intent who Jameis Winston is trying to throw to. It also looks like Brashard Perriman comes out. It's a very strange looking route. There's two of them stacked on top of each other. Brashard Perriman would have been the better option to throw to. However, Jameis Winston does not see the linebacker who comes over into coverage and basically throws it right to him. Bad decision by Jameis Winston. Looking at it from the end zone angle, you can see that Jameis Winston obviously does not see the linebacker come out and go into coverage because he throws it almost right at him. This is just a bad decision. And there he is. He's throwing the ball. You can see it in the air. Linebacker just makes the catch. Interception. Jameis Winston attempts to throw the ball to Justin Watson, who runs an out route. Now, out routes are Jameis Winston's bread and butter. However, the defender falls back, undercuts the out route, and runs it in for a pick six. Now, one of the things that is annoying about this play is it is a 2nd and 10. There's no need to get all 10 yards on this. You will see O.J. Howard gets matched up against a linebacker coming across the middle. If Jameis Winston would have waited just one heart to beat, he would have seen that O.J. Howard was wide open. The linebacker covering him was behind him by quite a few steps. But Jameis Winston went for the out route and got undercut for the pick six. This is a bad decision by Jameis Winston. Now, right there, you can see O.J. Howard is coming across. His coverage guy is way behind him. Instead, Jameis Winston decides to throw this out route, seeing the defender has got eyes on both of them. He's got the man in front of him. It's way too easy for him to undercut that out route. He's released the ball. Here's the ball. And here is O.J. Howard open. This most likely would have gone for a first down. But instead, he throws it to Justin Watson over here, and it is simply undercut by the defender. Great play by the defender for the pick six. Bad decision by Jameis Winston. Hyman runs out, cuts inside. He does get separation from his defender. This would have been a good pass. However, Jameis Winston does not see the safety come across the field to undercut the route and make the interception. This is a bad decision by Jameis Winston for not seeing the safety. Another pick six. Brashard Perriman runs out and stops, turns around, expecting the ball to come to him. However, his man is in coverage, stays on top of him, and then just undercuts the route when it is thrown. This is a bad decision on Jameis Winston's part. There was not enough separation between Perriman and his defender for this. You can see Jameis Winston throwing the ball now. There's the ball. And as you can see, there is zero separation between these two. Ogunbowale runs an out route, pretty much the same thing we saw earlier. Not quite as deep when Winston threw the interception on the out route. Ogunbowale runs his out route, and it is undercut by his defender. This guy right here, Jameis Winston never should have thrown the ball. This was a very easy interception in a crucial time of the game. As a matter of fact, this is the interception that cost the game. Bad decision by Jameis Winston. Justin Watson runs a route like this about right here. He fakes like he's going to go inside and then goes outside, getting behind his defender. However, Winston throws the ball almost, it looks like he expected Watson to come this way. Instead, the defender ends up coming this way and catching the ball for the interception. Now, I originally thought this was a miscommunication. However, from the end zone angle, you'll be able to see that this ball comes out wobbly. And if you look closely, you can see that number 50 from the Atlanta Falcons gets his hand on Jameis Winston's elbow as he's throwing, causing this to, right there, causing the ball to come out wobbly, which Jameis Winston normally does not throw too many wobbly balls. Let's rewind it. You can see it again. See if I can stop it in time. Right there. You can see 50 gets his arm on Jameis Winston's elbow as he's throwing the ball. This causes an errant pass. So Jameis Winston got hit on that pass, causing the interception. Falcons at Buccaneers week 17. This is in overtime. First play of overtime. It's 1st and 10. Tampa Bay's on their 25. Jameis Winston throws a pick six here, ending the game, giving the victory to the Atlanta Falcons. On this play, Cameron Brate comes out and sits approximately right here. The defender backs up, sees that Jameis Winston is going to throw it, undercuts it, and then runs it in for the touchdown. This is a horrible play, horrible decision by Jameis Winston. For one, he should have thrown this ball a lot sooner than he did. He let Cameron Brate sit on this route way too long. And then, see, the ball should have already been thrown at this point. As you can see, the ball is just now leaving his hand. And the defender has got way too much good leverage on this. This is a very, very bad decision. Poor decision by Jameis Winston, and it cost them the game. Now, to be fair on this play, you can see that number 50 does get a tip on this ball. He does jump up and hit the ball, causing it to go a little bit errant. But Jameis Winston still never should have thrown this ball. As you can see right there, the ball is getting tipped. Pay attention to the ball as it's flying through the air, and you can see it becomes wobbly. I think even whether it was tipped or not, it still would have been an interception. Some interesting tidbits from all of this. 1. Winston did not throw a single interception while outside of the pocket. All of his interceptions were inside the pocket throws. Now, I find this fascinating because Winston scrambles quite a bit. He throws from outside of the pocket quite a bit. By quarter, Winston threw 11 interceptions in the fourth quarter, 10 interceptions in the first quarter, 6 interceptions in the second quarter, and 3 interceptions in the third quarter. Of the 11 interceptions thrown in the fourth quarter, only 2 were thrown when the Bucs had the lead. That was in the Rams game week 4. The score was 45-34. In the Giants week 3, the score was 28-25. The Buccaneers went on to lose the Giants game and won the Rams game. The 11 interceptions thrown in the fourth quarter occurred in 9 different games. Of those 9 games with interceptions in the fourth quarter, the Bucs only won 2. 5 interceptions were thrown with no score at all on the board. There were 3 games with only 1 interception. The Buccaneers won 2 of those 3. Those 3 games were the Giants, Rams, and Lions. The Buccaneers won against the Rams and the Lions, lost against the Giants. Winston had 7 games with 1 or fewer interceptions. The Buccaneers won 4 of those 7. Now, that would translate to a 9-7 season, which is 2 games better than what the Bucs ended up with at 7-9. However, they still would not have made the playoffs. Winston threw 6 pick sixes in 2019. 5 of those pick sixes were thrown inside the Tampa Bay's 25. 1 of them was thrown from the Tampa's 33. Only 1 pick six was thrown from the opponent's side of the field, and that was in Week 14 against the Colts from their 23-yard line. The Bucs, interestingly, won that game. Of the 5 games that Winston threw at least 1 pick six in, he threw 2 in the 49ers game Week 1. The Bucs won 2 and lost 3. Of the 6 pick sixes, 3 were bad decisions. 1 was on the receiver, 1 Winston was hit as he threw, and 1 was a miscommunication. Of the 6 pick sixes, 3 were because of bad decisions. 1 was a receiver error, and 1 was at Winston getting hit as he threw, and 1 was miscommunication. Both of the interceptions against the Titans were due to miscommunication between Winston and his receivers. So every interception against the Titans was a miscommunication issue. So what does all this mean? I think it is obvious that decision-making was the vast majority of Winston's interceptions. Can this be corrected? Don't know. Arians' offense requires a lot of risk-taking and down-the-field throws. It should be expected that interceptions are going to be a part of the mix, more so than with other teams. Dirk Cutter's offense, he was the head coach before Bruce Arians came in. Cutter's offense was about the same. And Winston has always had an interception problem, and it seems like it's baked in with him. Can he make better decisions? Yes. Will he? Probably. He will get better at decision making the longer he plays, would be my guess. Now, can the Buccaneers live with the interceptions? In 2019, Winston had 4 games where he did not throw any interceptions. And strangely, they were all away games. Week 2 against the Panthers, Week 5 against the Saints, Week 9 against the Seahawks, and Week 13 against the Jaguars. And the Buccaneers lost half of those games when Winston did not throw any interceptions. 2 wins, 2 losses. If that trend of Winston throwing no interceptions during a game were to continue throughout the year, then the Buccaneers would have had an 8-8 record based on that sample size. Instead, they had a 7-9 record. So that is a difference of 1 game. What we've seen is that Winston throws the most interceptions in the fourth quarter when the Buccaneers are behind. Now, that seems like it would be common sense, and the stats agree. His interceptions within the Buccaneers' 25-yard line are where the vast majority of the pick sixes are thrown. It'd be real easy to say, well, just make sure you're not behind in the fourth quarter and don't throw the ball when you're within your 25-yard line. Boom, problem solved. Unfortunately, you can't do that. So we have to ask ourselves, how much did Winston's interceptions hurt the Buccaneers? Well, that is almost impossible to quantify, but what we can say is that there were 3 interceptions that directly cost the Buccaneers games. Week 8 against the Titans in the fourth quarter with 26 seconds left, down by 4 points. Week 16 against the Texans with 1 minute and 31 seconds remaining, down by 3 points. And Week 17 against the Falcons in overtime. Those 3 interceptions, when he threw them, we lost the game. Now, nothing is to say the Bucs would have won those 3 games if those interceptions were not thrown. But you can definitely say the Bucs lost those games because of those 3 interceptions. The interceptions against the Texans and the Falcons were bad decisions. The interception against the Titans was, as we said previously, miscommunication. But hypothetically, if the Bucs would have come back and won 2 of those 3 games, then the Bucs would have ended up with a 9-7 record and still out of the playoff. All right, after seeing all this, my personal opinion is that Jameis Winston's interceptions cost the Buccaneers approximately 3-4 games overall. I mean, there were 6 games in total where interceptions led directly to losses. 3 games where an interception ended the game, giving a loss to the Buccaneers, and 3 games with 4+ interceptions, which is very, very difficult to overcome. So that's 6 games. That gives us 6 games that we know interceptions played an enormous role in losing. However, we also know that the Buccaneers were about dead even on their win-loss record when Winston threw 0 or 1 interception. So out of those 6 games that we know interception played an enormous role in losing, we can only say that half of them could have been possible wins. I know it's a bit of mumbo jumbo in football math, but I hope it has given a better perspective on Jameis Winston's interceptions, and of course, these are just my opinions. If you enjoy all things Bucs, don't forget to check out our podcast, available on all podcast platforms as well as right here on YouTube. There's a companion podcast to this video with me and Molly that breaks this video down a bit more if you want to check that out. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and that'll do it.
This has been the Buccaneers Observer. Don't forget to like and subscribe.